Today we're going to take a look at loading .357 Magnum ammunition to a .38 special loading on the Loadmaster 5-station progressive reloading press. In this particular video we're going to be using bullseye powder and a cast lead bullet, and we will see with our press basically already set up with die adjustment, powder measure installed, case feeder set up, what it's going to take to do the rest of our preparations to start loading, and we'll see what that loading process looks like on the Loadmaster. So I've already consulted the chart that came with the powder measure, which is included with the Loadmaster progressive press, and I've determined that what I need to do is switch to a .37 cc cavity on one of these discs. So what I need to do is look through the discs that came with the set, and it turns out we're going to be using this .37 cc hole right here on the disc. So what we're going to need to do is remove the disc that we were using last time so that we can use this new setting. And I'm going to take these brass knurled knobs, remove those. Don't have to worry about powder spillage here because I've already emptied the powder measure. Next step is we're going to just lift off the disc and replace that with a new one. So we can see from an overhead angle here more clearly how this disc interchange happens. We can just lift off the disc that we were using. The disc is actuated by this little nub here on the powder measure. And what we need to do is figure out which cavity corresponds with the quantity of powder that we want to dispense. Here we're using .37. The hole is directly in the middle of the powder measure assembly. Following that, we can carefully align the powder measure, get the studs going through the appropriate holes, and then take these brass nuts with the knurled section and install them so that the powder measure is secured. Now again, this powder measure you can rotate on and off in order to turn off the flow of powder so that you can change discs without emptying the hopper and so on and so forth. Just so we don't forget, we're going to turn that on right now. So I guess that means it's time to fill up the powder measure. So we're just going to take the lid off, and we'll actually leave that lid off because we're going to be validating the powder charge to make sure that we've got the proper weight being dispensed each time. So we'll just fill this up, I don't know, about half to 3/4 full, something like that. We're going to be dealing with a pretty light charge weight here, so we're not going to be going through a whole lot of powder. So next, let's validate the powder charge. In order to accommodate the insertion and removal of brass so that we can validate these powder charge weights, what I'm going to do is just pull the case retention arm away at stations basically under stations 3 and 4. So we'll put the brass in here, charge it, let it index, take it out there. Alright, so the next thing we want to do is take a spent shell casing with the spent primer intact. We want that in so that we don't spill primer when we're validating our powder charge. Place that on your digital scale, turn it on, and in that way zero out our scale to that case. Now we know any additional weight is the actual charge weight. Now what we need to do here initially is going to be to run a few loads through the press to get our powder charge to settle in, as it were. So if the powder is compressed at all or wedged into the internal workings because it hasn't reached equilibrium, which would be the density of powder and the flow of powder that we'll see when we're loading continuously, we definitely want to make sure that we get an accurate reading that represents what we'll actually see during continual use. So after we've dispensed a few, we will dispense a single load so that we can collect that and measure the value. So let's do just that. We'll take our case, we'll insert it at station number 3, dispense a load, it'll index to station number 4, we'll remove that and put it on the scale. So now when we set it on the scale, we'll see that we are dispensing about 3.4 grains, which is spot on what we want for this particular load. And next, we'll load our primers. Oops, we had a couple drop there. Down to the other side, opposite the feed side. And now, looking from the other side of the machine, we're just going to tilt the tray, and if one falls out, so be it. We'll just save that and put it in our spare primer trough. And as we continue to tap, what we want to basically do is look at these two little viewing windows and make sure there's primers all the way up, which in this particular case there is. So we should be ready to run a test round through. One last thing that we need to do before we run our test round through is going to be to push these fingers in so that they almost will contact the shell plate as it rotates by. We want these to be a little bit too far in so that when our case comes around, it'll knock those back out to the proper position so there's light tension. Alright, so now that we have things basically set up, let's take our bullet tray and get ready to go with a test load. So we're going to drop a single piece of brass through here. We're going to decap in station number 1. We're going to size and prime in station number 2. And in station number 3, we're going to dispense a load of powder. Now, before we place the bullet, it's a good idea to check that we actually have a powder load there. And we can even remove the case to inspect to see that our primer is seated properly, which it is. And we have powder. So, let's test our bullet seat and crimp setting here. So we're going to set our bullet on, do the seat and crimp, eject the round into the completed cartridge bin, and it actually looks like things are set up real nice. So I'd say we're ready to load. So I've just filled the case feed tubes with brass, and we've already checked our load. We've got primers, we've got powder. Let's start progressive loading. There we have it. Loading .357 Magnum ammunition on the Loadmaster is a quick and enjoyable process. I hope that you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that you'll stay tuned on ultimatereloader.com for other reloading adventures that we'll undertake. Thank you very much.